My friends in the film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching, thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. Geographically, the closest one to where this movie is based is Texas. He's only a few short hours away. But I mean, the OK Corral would be quite a place to go visit. I don't know if Texas has ever been there, but I'm sure he'll tell you all about it if he's ever been there. As we break down this movie, what's going on, everybody? Here to talk about Tombstone, obviously one of the great modern westerns to ever come out. A lot can be said about this movie. We're going to say it all, I'm sure. But here to break it down with me is my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
I'm just ready to hear Frank's whore mouth admit that there's another good movie from the 90s. So,
hey, I want to point out two things real quick. Number one is I never said the 90s didn't produce anything good. I just said the 80s were bad.
Notice how he keeps backtracking every time we do a good movie from the 90s.
The 80s
God, this rivalry will never die. I was hoping we forgot about this by now.
And I was thinking about it the other day. Jeremy wasn't born until like 92 or some shit like that, so he wasn't even a sentient being until like the year 2000.
That doesn't mean shit.
That's like saying that because I was born in the 70s is my decade. No, I consider the 80s my decade, much more so my decade, because I was sentient during the 80s. I don't have any memories of the 70s. Mm-hmm. Like Hoobastank was like number one on the charts when you even started listening to music. So you can't really claim the 90s.
Right, because I didn't listen to Hoobastank when it was, still definitely around when I was alive.
I grew up between the 80s and 90s, so I can claim more than 90s than he can. The grunge movement is still my generation. It's not Jeremy's.
You see how angry he is? Because now he has to admit that this movie's good.
I said the movie's good. I said the 90s has got some good stuff. But I said the 80s is better, and I still see.
I just need a compilation out of every time he said it because I need proof.
90s had some bangers.
I'm just ready for this review. You just say when.
Look, Taylor Swift sucks. She's got a couple of good songs that I like, but overall she sucks.
Where did Taylor Swift? No, we know she sucks, but that shit had nothing to do with that. Well, hold on. If she was born in 1989, then she's yours because you're claiming the 80s. So,
well, whatever. She was born. She's still born.
It's your problem now.
She's closer to the 80s than you are.
And trying to make sense to do with any of this.
I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there. And trying to make sense of all this is the State of the Lone Star State. Well, I'm Tech. What's up, brother?
I'm sitting here with Jeremy's over there stroking him off to Frank. Complimenting the 90s movie, just thinking, my lord. This rivalry is never going to end. This is just something else, I tell you what.
I think he's still mad about the football game. Maybe that's why Taylor Swift came out.
I probably am.
That's fair. That's fair.
I will forever be mad about the football game.
That's fair.
Hey, we all have something to be mad about. All I know is those nasty, stinky Houston Astros are coming into Arlington, Texas to face the world champion Texas Rangers this weekend. And we're going to beat them like the trash cans they did to win their World Series ring. So I can't wait for that to happen. It's going to be fun. So,
yeah,
good.
I am better at my sports stuff. I still, to this day, have not watched Game 7 of the 2002 World Series. Refuse to watch it.
Yeah.
We're absolutely refuse.
The 2023 World Series is winners are right over here if you ever want to know who won that.
And wondering what the hell he's got himself into by putting in with this lot. Down in the corner is freaking Jeebus. What's up, kitten?
I'm used to it by now. I get it. But I want to be on Jeremy's side because I was also born in '92. But this movie's always had more of an '80s feel to it for me personally. I don't know what it is. Probably Kurt Russell. But yeah.
Sam Elliott. I mean, Bill Paxton. Yeah. It's not like,
Michael Biehn.
Midnight, January 1st, 1990. We're just like, all right, 90s right now. I mean, like it kind of melds.
Yeah.
So the 80s we didn't all just decide to start wearing fucking flannel and, well, grunge didn't last that long, but, thanks, Kurt. But it kind of just melded.
Grunge killed the fun rock and roll. I don't need sad, Nirvana, blah, blah, blah. Give me the fun party stuff. Whatever.
Courtney killed grunge. Let's not get that confused.
Well, Courtney technically killed Cobain.
Valerie Bertinelli tore up Van Halen. Courtney Love killed grunge.
Yeah.
Two undisputable truths in music history right there. But let's get to the movie we're here to talk about tonight, and that is Tombstone. That's the 1993 American Western film directed by George P. Cosmatos, written by Kevin Jarre, who was actually the original director but was replaced early in production, and starring Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer with Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Powers Boothe, Michael Biehn, and Dana Delany in supporting roles, as well as narration by the great Robert Mitchum. The film was loosely based on the real events that took place in the 1880s in southeast Arizona, including the gunfight at the OK Corral and the Earp Vendetta ride. It depicts several Western outlaws and lawmen, such as Wyatt Earp, William Brocious, Johnny Ringo, and Doc Holliday. Tombstone was released by Hollywood Pictures in a theatrical wide release in the United States on December 25th of 1993, grossing $73.2 million worldwide against a budget of $25 million. The film was a financial success, and for the Western genre, it ranks number 16 in the list of highest-grossing films since 1979. Critical reception was generally positive, with the acting, directing, and story receiving praise. Particular praise went towards Val Kilmer's memorable performance as the hard-drinking Doc Holliday. The film has become a cult classic since its release. I don't think it's a cult classic. I think it was a good movie when it first came out. I don't think it registers as that, but whatever. Rotten Tomatoes reported that 72% of 47 sampled critics give the film a positive review, with an average score of 6.3 out of 10. The site's critical consensus review reads, quote, "If you're seeking a stylish modern Western with a solid story and a well-chosen ensemble cast, Tombstone is your Huckleberry." A bit of a nice play on words there from one of the most famous lines in the entire movie. But let's start with you, Jeremy. Give me some quick thoughts on Tombstone before we get into all the deep discussion.
Yeah, I don't really see how it could be a cult movie. Usually it'd be like something that when it first came out, it kind of happened and people forgot about it. And then in retrospect, you look back at it and you're like, oh yeah, no, that was pretty damn good. I wouldn't say that. I would say, yeah, it's just through and through been a pretty good movie. Just even from the cast you list off, like this thing is loaded. And sometimes like you get those movies that are loaded with some good talent, it's going to be a good time. And there's even people when they're like, I think, who said it down there, Stewart, a fat Billy Bob Thornton.
Right.
There's him, super young, like Hayden Thomas Church. There's all kinds of people in this movie. Even a young Michael Rooker is in this thing. So you got people all over the place in this movie. So you can't go wrong. Like Frank always says, you can't go wrong adding talent. And it's none of those movies that I'm like, it's long, but you don't really mind that it's long. And sure, the gunfight should have lasted about, I don't know, 3 seconds, but whatever. Anything for a movie to make it more fun. So,
Kenton, how about you? Give us some of your quick thoughts on Tombstone.
I really like it. I came very late to the Western genre, like probably like 6 or 7 years ago. I only started watching Western movies. I didn't grow up with them. I plunged headfirst into Deadwood, and then everything kind of. Then I started on the actual movies, and it's great. That cult classic surprises me. That description. I thought it was way more of a blockbuster than it actually was, but it seems like a blockbuster when you watch it. Like it just feels like one of those movies that would have just killed it. But and also, Jeremy, you mentioned the length, being over 2 hours, but it doesn't feel 2 hours. It flies right by for me. I really like this one.
Oh no, Tex, how about you as the resident Southerner in our group? I mean, like I said, you're only a quick several hour drive away from where these events actually took place. As a Texan, someone who's all into the guns, the cowboy way of life, and all that stuff. Yeah. When you look at this movie, what are some of your thoughts on this movie?
This is one of those films as a child that was always on in my household. My dad had multiple copies of this VHS tape and wore the sons of bitches out. I mean, he didn't even throw the old one away. He would keep it, like throw on the shelf and just buy another one. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie. This is by far my favorite Western of all time. I don't care about how inaccurate it is. I don't care about if it's not blah, blah, blah. It's a 2 hour film. Like y'all have already said, doesn't feel like it. Is it stylized? Yes, but it is perfect for what it needs to be. And I can't wait to break this one down. This is one of those films this is on my top 10 list of non-horror. This is in the top 5. I'll put it to you that way. So it's up there for me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, look, the Western genre has always been one that has had a lot of. It's always been a fair. The great Westerns, anyway, have always been this really amazing combination of great character, emotion, and action. Because I mean, I say that one of the reasons people like mob movies is because we all secretly wish we kind of lived the life of a mobster, you know, with the great suits and driving around the cars and everybody knowing, you know, people put a table together for us. We walk into a restaurant. I don't think that I don't know anybody in my life that I would honestly think doesn't watch a Western and be like riding the open range in a horse, sleeping under the stars at a campfire, drinking some rum or whatever, or whiskey at the tavern, playing poker.
Dude,
like that,
drinking, going to whorehouses and shooting people. where do I sign up? That's the life right there.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, dude.
You're telling me you don't do that in Texas? You don't do that in Texas at this day?
Well, I'm a respectable spoken for man now, so I can't go to the whorehouses no more.
Oh, he gave the life up.
Prior to that,
that's what he's saying.
Prior to that, you know, old Tex would,
yeah, there is definitely this. There's definitely this. There's definitely this mystique, this aura about it that. Because it was so long ago, and there's really nobody living today that it's going to even confirm anyway that actually experienced that time. We can only read about it, we can only see these dramatizations of it, but it is kind of like the pure, honest lifestyle that kind of built the country. So, yeah, it's something that appeals to a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. Yes, you can have it more of an actiony thing like this. You can have something that is more like Unforgiven, which you talked about a while back, which is a very contained story, very rich in what it was in the story and all that. But it's like good Westerns are really hard to turn your head away from. They're really engrossing, and this is one of them. But let's break it down. Usually I like to start with the director, but I mean, for those of you who don't know kind of the story of this movie, like I said, Kevin Jarre was originally the director. I've heard several things about exactly why he was fired early in production. One of them that I had heard is that he wanted to do something that was very historically accurate, much more of a dramatic piece, but the production company wanted more of an action-y kind of, I don't want to call it one-dimensional, but definitely they wanted to emphasize more the gunfights. They wanted the OK Corral to be like the centerpiece of the whole film. And he wanted to do something that was more of a dramatic, historically accurate thing. And so they kind of ran him off and got George P. Cosmatos to finish directing. And Cosmatos, who did Rambo Part 2 and Stallone Cobra with Sylvester Stallone, much more of an action-y guy. Not that those movies are bad by any means, but it's like he wanted to really drum up the action, the gunfights, and the excitement of it all. And that's kind of what we ended up getting. But I mean, the story is that Kurt Russell really kind of quarterbacked that thing through Cosmatos. It is one of the more interesting stories in Hollywood about how a film was made. As a matter of fact, they wrote a whole book about the making of this movie that came out, I want to say about 15 years ago or so. But I don't know. I'll go to you first, Tex. I mean, who do you think the actual director of this was? And are you kind of glad that we ended up getting the movie we got, or do you wish we'd have gotten something a little bit more historically accurate? It was more of a dramatic set piece.
I'm so happy Cosmatos came on and we got the film that we did. If I want historical accuracy, I'll go watch a documentary. I'm sorry, but this film is, I can't even be biased when I review this thing. This is the action in this film. Take 90s action and transport it back to the Old West is what they did with this film. I mean, the guy did Rambo, perfect for what this needed to be. The landscapes, the feel of the movie. You could have done a dramatic, historically accurate piece, but to me, that's very boring. To me, that's what was the Western that we did with the Clint Eastwood a month or so ago?
Unforgiven. Yeah.
See, to me, Unforgiven is a very boring film. And I know that's way more historically accurate. But if I'm watching a Western, this is my kind of Western, talking about Tombstone. And, almost every, based on a true story. I mean, if you base it, 1% of something, it's based off of something. This film gets a lot of crap for being very inaccurate. And I know they took a lot of liberties. But how can you hate what they gave us? Put all that to the side and just enjoy the product as it is. I don't see how you can't not love this movie, but some people are weird.
I don't know, Kenton. What about you? I mean, do you think it would have been better as a more dramatic period piece, or were you okay with the movie we ended up getting?
No. No. This the movie we got, far superior, and I think, wasn't there a Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp movie that was?
I had actually just made a note to myself to mention that one.
I was gonna say,
I think if you want historical accuracy, you watch that one. I think the apocryphal story is that Kurt Russell, because he was buds with Stallone after Tango and Cash, he needed somebody to come in and fill the role, and because Stallone had worked with Cosmatos before, and basically also sort of like took the reins directing, and was like, oh yeah, this guy can be your kind of quote unquote director, but you can pretty much do what you want. And I'm glad it turned out that way. Also, George P. Cosmatos, the father of Panos Cosmatos, who directed Mandy.
Nice.
Actually,
Sylvester Stallone's brother is actually in the early part of the movie. I don't know if you guys caught that or not. Frank Stallone.
Oh,
he's the guy that Doc Holliday gets into. He's like, he puts his gun down, says, "There, now we can be friends again." That's who who stands up against him is Frank Stallone, Sylvester Stallone's brother. But I agree, Jeremy. I don't know. What do you think? Would you have liked something different, or are you okay with the movie that we got?
No, I'm okay with it because, like we mentioned, I was trying to remember who did that movie. Like there was another movie about Wyatt Earp, and I'm like, how many times have we seen a movie about Wyatt Earp, about the OK Corral? I'm like, what's wrong with having some fun with it? I mean, yeah, it's inaccurate, but I mean, we enjoy the hell out of Braveheart, and that is not even remotely accurate either. So,
right.
I mean, and not to take two shots at Mel Gibson, but I mean, The Patriot's not exactly, accurate either. So, but as accurate as one of them fucking muskets that he seems to hit every shot with. So, as being as I've shot one, it's that ain't the case.
At very far range too. Those guns were nowhere near that accurate. But
not even. I don't care if you look up in the sky and say, "Lord, make me fast and accurate." It's no, dude. You're not hitting. Cool. I mean. Badass scene when he saves Heath Ledger, but in the beginning, but no.
Right.
So, yeah, and it's not gonna, and it's not to say like we mentioned Unforgiven. It's not like you can't make a movie like that work because we mentioned that. I'm like, this is probably more accurate to what really would be happening, especially to someone like that in Clint Eastwood's, his time in his life, and he's kind of just giving that all up, and now he's kind of getting roped back into it, and then when it goes off, and then it goes off, but something like the OK Corral, like I said, that lasted all about 30 seconds. It's like, well, if you want to drum that up, you might want to do that. So what's wrong with making a fun Hollywood movie, especially a Western Hollywood movie, even though you can definitely see where the rain machine ends, and there's just a whole dry patch of dirt right next to Kurt Russell. And I'm like, you're not really standing in the rain, but I don't care. Cool shot. Sad, game over, man.
So they didn't have rain.
Bill Paxton.
They didn't have rain towers in the whole West to water their lawns.
They didn't have rain in Arizona. Period. I'm like, this is some weird shit.
That's crazy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one time it rained in Arizona, and you still couldn't make it into the whole shot, but whatever. It's still
right.
I'm always a sucker for historical accuracy. I've always been a bit of a historian. I like to read about history, but I can't. Kenton brought up Wyatt Earp, and I'm thinking to myself, within a year of this movie, Wyatt Earp with Costner came out, and that one was said to have been way more historically accurate. That movie just didn't do anything. It wasn't nearly as successful. It's not nearly as remembered. I mean, look, it's not like I catch every great movie as it hits theaters. Sometimes it takes me a while to find them because there's a lot of movies to watch. But it's like, that's not one, like when you talk about Kevin Costner, that's not one of the movies that you put up there as great works of art by Costner. You put up any of the guys that were the main characters in this particular film, and they're like, oh yeah, he was in Tombstone, which was fucking great because, all that great cast and all the action and, Doc Holliday and the one-liners and all that stuff. That's one of the movies that is always talked about whenever you talk about any of the main characters in this movie. So, I mean, if we had gotten something a little more historically accurate, I probably would have liked it. I don't know if I'd have loved it the way I love this movie, though. I mean, this is a Western, a piece of Western lore set in the frame of like a not quite a blockbuster, but definitely on a much larger scale than what we had usually seen a Western get made into. Mm-hmm. It's like even movies that have a couple of big stars in it, like 3:10 to Yuma recently. They just did the remake of that a few years ago with Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. It's like even that movie. Even that movie with all its stars and its great story and all that it kind of came and went. And then you got like the Magnificent Seven remake that came out a few years ago, which was really, really good. It was kind of like this. It was much more of an action set piece with a little bit better character work, but I mean, it was still just kind of an action extravaganza, not based on anything in real life, of course, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, it took it did that whole thing where it's like, yeah, we're gonna make it a Western, but it's also we're gonna handle it like a blockbuster. We're gonna have a lot of gunfights. A lot of people criticized like the musical selections when they did the score, that it was too modern. It wasn't something that would have been it wasn't inspired by what the kind of sounds you would have heard of the time. But I'm like, I don't care. It's like I still like A Knight's Tale. I think it's a fun movie to watch. And you've got like they're playing like bits of Nirvana and God knows what else.
Queen.
The movie starts with "We Will Rock You." I don't think Queen was around in medieval times.
That's weird. I was thinking of that same thing. I'm like, A Knight's Tale has 70s music. Why not?
Yeah, so
and then you got Django with like rap and stuff in there.
Yeah, it's like sometimes
but it works.
Fun.
Yeah.
But the score of this movie wasn't nearly as bad as something like Knight's Tale and some of the other movies we mentioned. But yeah, I'm glad that we got the movie that we got. It is a movie that's going to endure over time, a lot more than what I think we could have got. I mean, certainly more than Costner's version of Wyatt Earp. But I mean, so the hard part about making a movie about a real life figure is you got to kind of balance the theatrical with a truer story. So you have to make it watchable. For example, just to shoot out the OK Corral. I mean, it took about, in real life, they say it took about 30 seconds and about 30 rounds were fired total. But in the movie, it's like 10 minutes of the movie, and it was like you were in Beirut. It was like a war zone. Everybody shooting everywhere. Doc Holliday somehow managed to squeeze off 7 or 8 rounds out of that 2-barrel shotgun before having to reload. I think Wyatt Earp squeezed out about 15 rounds before he had to reload out of his 6-shooter. So I just whatever. But I mean, yeah, it captures kind of the intensity of the moment, sure, if not the historical accuracy, but whatever. I mean, as Tech says, it is what it is. But I mean, what makes this movie more than anything else is just this cast. I mean, good God.
Right.
If I show you this picture and you're like, holy shit, that's like a murderer's row of amazing actors. So I'll go to you first, Kenton. I mean, even the supporting players in this movie they're kind of at another level. Who in the cast stood out to you, and why was it Val Kilmer?
Right.
I mean, he's clearly the number one, but I mean, if I'm starting from, we'll say, quote unquote, least memorable, but they're all so memorable. Like, I mean, yeah, Michael Rooker showing up. Love to see him in anything. Yeah, he was good. Michael Biehn as Johnny Ringo. Who we know usually as like a hero, in Terminator and Aliens, but I think he also plays a really good villain in this and in The Abyss as well. Powers Boothe is just a perfectly despicable villain. He's always great as a villain. Has that evil laugh, I had mentioned that Deadwood was really the first like Western thing I got into, and he's a great character in that. So when I'm back in this, I was like, oh yeah, he's basically the same character, just a little more refined in Deadwood. But it's as Stephen Lang also as Ike Clanton, young Stephen Lang, early role for him. Who we know now from like Avatar and Don't Breathe, but way back then, like him popping up here, it's so despicable. Also, it's just that like sniveling, like changing, like surrendering every single time, then coming back again and surrendering
Right.
again. It's like, but yeah, if I had to choose one, it would be Val Kilmer. It has to be.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? I mean, like I said, we're all going to kind of immediately gravitate to Val Kilmer, I know, but I mean, maybe other than him, who stood out to you the most? And what did you think of the cast overall?
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I always try to pick somebody, not obviously, in this case, Val Kilmer. Because that's, not, I don't want to say he, like, steals the show, but I mean, like, when he's on screen, like, you're just excited. Because I'm like, the shit that he says, yeah, there you go. That's what else do you need to say, man? I mean, I think I hope you have it. The one where he's just like leaning up against the pole the first time he says, "I'm your Huckleberry." He's got the red and like with the gold vest, I think.
I do not have that. I was for some reason I was really limited in some of the pictures that I could find in this movie. I was really surprised. I pulled a bunch up on IMDb, but even they didn't have a lot of great stuff. They did have my favorite shot of the movie, which thematically, this is a great shot. I love this. This is a painting. I want this painting right here.
Well, being that I set up, all those Saw streams, I understand the struggle trying to find a picture they'll let you use. I mean, especially trying to pick pictures from Saw. Period.
Right.
I was tiptoeing those whole couple of weeks. But like, yeah, I even made a whole outfit, and when I played Red Dead Redemption 2, I made like an entire just Doc Holliday like Val Kilmer look from that. It's because how can you not? But I think I would have to go down the line, and I agree with what Kenton said. Powers Boothe is just like he does what does credit to his own 90% of his first name, man. He's got a real powerful voice. He's got one of those iconic voices that you hear him. And again, like when he's playing just an absolute slime ball, I'm like, yeah, this guy can do it. I mean, like when I think of more so, I think I first gravitate towards, and get ready because this is Frank's wet dream, his entire generation's wet dream. In Red Dawn, I mean, like, yeah, he plays the Colonel, right? That they find.
Yeah,
yeah. So, but I mean, you talk about range. I mean, dude, it's like, and you can tell, like, especially when he goes on his little opium high, just shooting about 30 rounds out of two guns. I forgot to count, but I think by the time I started counting, I was like, I think you might be out, but okay. Whatever, man. I was like, again, I don't care. It's a fun movie. But I guess what I'm saying is you can tell it's like, oh, he just seems like he's having the fucking time of his life. And maybe Michael Biehn, because I cannot with that scene of him flipping his gun around, then fucking Val Kilmer takes the cup and just starts just making absolute fun of it. God, how do you not? Yeah. So
I don't know. Let's be honest. Who hasn't gotten a little worked up on opium and gone and squeezed off a few rounds to full moon? I mean, come on, we've all been there. But I don't know, Tex. What about you? Again, it's a loaded cast. It's really hard to pick one person. I mean, like I said, out of all this, Val Kilmer kind of stands out. But there was a lot of really great performances on here. What do you think of the cast overall, and who really stuck out to you the most?
I think overall, trying to pick one out of this lot, it's like, which one's your favorite child? I mean, you love them all. You can't pick one. In the history of films, at least for me, this might be the best cast movie of all time. I mean, Michael Rooker, Val Kilmer, Billy Zane, Sam Elliott, Kurt Russell, Bill Paxton, Michael Biehn. I mean, we've mentioned all of these people. There are so many memorable moments. Obviously, Val Kilmer's the one that he gets the most attention, but I mean, I'll say Kurt Russell just so he's mentioned here. I mean, you get to see him. I just want to be peaceful. I'm buying this, establishment. I'm a businessman. He doesn't want to be drawn into the fight. And like the 80s action hero that Kurt Russell will forever be, once I'm out, they pull me right back in. And he goes back in, and hell follows with him, by God. And he has some of the most powerful lines in this movie. I mean, Sam Elliott and Bill Paxton, for as amazing actors as they are, and I love them both dearly, you have those two guys as background players, basically. that says something. And if your cast is that good that their background, you're doing something right. But Kurt Russell just kills it in this movie. I think he's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I could go around. I just mentioned one name of this cast, and you're like Hall of Famer. I mean, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
So you could think of 10 or 12.
That's what I'm saying.
You could think of 10 or 12.
This has to be on the list
individually. Yeah.
This has to be on a list of greatest casts assembled of all time. I mean, so many stars. Even they had the Phantom. They got Billy Zane in here, dude. They got everybody showing up. I mean, come on,
Charlton Heston.
And Heston, baby.
And Charlton Heston, yeah.
Crazy.
Robert Mitchum doing the narration. I mean, so you've already got a couple of absolute fucking legends like involved.
That's what I'm saying. There's just how do you pick one out of here? There's so many.
And then you pick Kurt Russell, who at this point was at the zenith of his career. You've got Bill Paxton, who, I mean, in the early 90s, he was really kind of hitting his peak right around then. I mean, it was just, a year or two later that Twisters comes out. That's kind of his, I think Twister is kind of his magnum opus. At least a lot of Bill Paxton fans would consider that kind of his best work. But I mean, it's not like the guy wasn't fantastic in everything he was in. And like, seriously. Anytime you put Sam Elliott in a cowboy hat, your movie is you're starting on the 50-yard line. I mean, you're not starting at the 20 like everybody else. You're starting at the 50-yard line. You've got to show me. But it's like
if I ever get rich, I'm going to hire Sam Elliott to just follow me around and introduce me into every room I walk into. By the way, that will be something that I do with my money. So that's how you'll know I got the lottery. So be prepared.
Yeah, but I mean, I've never seen a casting that is so fitting. You just look at Sam Elliott in this movie and just go like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. It's like it's a great casting, but it's not one of the ones that blows you away. It's not like you cast, Michael Keaton as Batman and you shit on it until you see him and you're like, oh, he's great. Or you cast, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark and you shit on him and then you see him like, oh yeah, he's great. You hear about him playing a cowboy in a cowboy movie and you're like, well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to. That's what you're supposed to get to be a cowboy in a cowboy movie. Who else would you get? But one of the people that stands out for me, I mean, obviously Powers Boothe. I mean, this guy's a monster. Yeah. I mean, the first thing I remember seeing him in Red Dawn in the 80s, but I mean, the guy's been he was in so many things over the course of his career. I mean, not just this. He was one of the council members in the Avengers film. He actually came back and played a small role in the TV series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was the president for like 4 or 5 episodes of 24 back in the late 2000s. I mean, everything I saw this guy in, he's got a screen presence that you just can't deny. And Michael Biehn, not just because I'm an 80s baby who loves everything that Michael Biehn was in, Terminator, Navy SEAL, stuff like that. The guy's got such a great presence. both. But
whatever, man.
He actually was on. I don't know if you guys ever watched Michael Rosenbaum Inside of You podcast. He was actually on that a couple of times. I haven't seen the most recent one, but man, just hearing him talk about his experiences on this set and just like in entertainment in general, it's like I just want to hear that guy talk all day. I mean, he's not a great story. He's not such the great storyteller. So like he's lived experiences that are interesting to me, and just hearing him talk, it's like I'm hearing Michael Biehn, but I'm just hearing a regular guy who I'm going to sit and have some beers with. It was fantastic. But one of the people that stood out to me the most is the girl that played Big Nose Kate.
I wanted to say that too. She's pretty badass.
Look, one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, and maybe we'll get around to doing it at some point. It was a made-for-TV movie that got released as a full movie with some extra stuff that was in it that wasn't suitable for TV. But she played a prisoner at Jewish concentration camp in a movie called Escape from Sobibor, which I think I've mentioned on here a couple times, with Alan Arkin and Rutger Hauer, absolutely legendary actors in their own right. And she plays in that movie as well, and she's fantastic. I actually just started watching Gorky Park the other day. I only got about a half hour into it, but the role that made her really famous across from William Hurt was Gorky Park from 1983. And dude, she is. I don't understand why. I don't know if she left acting or maybe they just stopped casting her, but she was like Gorky Park made her kind of a star. She got a Golden Globe nomination, all that. She did this movie. She did Escape from Sobibor. Then she did this movie, and she's been in a bunch of things since then. But I just haven't seen her much. She did a lot of TV, a lot of shows that I just don't usually watch. Some of the medical dramas and shit like that. But I'm just like, how did this girl not become a much bigger name? She's got such great screen presence, and I love a woman like the Michelle Rodriguez kind of characters, the Letty characters from the Fast and Furious movies, where it's like, I wouldn't fuck with her. It's like, yeah, she's hot, and yeah, I would like ask her if I could buy her a drink or whatever. But as soon as she turns around and says me no, she's going to do it with a look in her eyes like, whoa, calm down. It's like when she pulls out the gun on that guy early in the movie, she goes, touch that gun and I'll burn you down. And I was like, holy shit. She's not playing. Put that gun down, buddy. She's going to cut you in half.
You could be a good woman, but you could be the Antichrist.
You could be one of the best lines in the movie. Right. You could be a great woman, or you could be the Antichrist. I don't know. He's just like, whatever, I'm along for the ride. Let's do it.
I'll decide later.
But yeah, again, there's so much great casting in this movie from start to finish. I mean, everything. I mean, look, who was it? Not Robert Mitchum, but who was it? The other old guy was in there. The one that they went to when Doc first started to get sick right before the final shootout with Johnny Ringo.
Oh, Charlton Heston.
Heston. Yeah.
Charlton Heston, yeah. God, why am I drawing a blank on that name? But it's like, I mean, even Charlton Heston was in the movie for a grand total of like 2.5 minutes, and I'm just like, God, he just needs that screen. And that's 40 or 50 years of just being super fucking good at what you do. Yeah, nothing wrong with the casting of this movie at all. I mean, I can't think. The only person in the movie that I thought was kind of annoying, Billy Zane's character, I was kind of like, why is he here? It's like, I got it, because this is about that time in U.S. history that there was a lot of people coming over from England and trying to class the place up a little bit because the Revolutionary War was kind of in the rearview mirror at that point. So there was a couple of people coming over trying to give us a little bit of culture, some Shakespeare, some Dante's Inferno, that kind of thing, like in this movie. But I'm like, why? I don't really get why he's here. He wasn't bad. The character wasn't bad. I just didn't
maybe just to kind of shoehorn the love interest in. Maybe like, oh, they're all in the same acting troupe.
Yeah. But I mean, you could just had her up there reading Shakespeare and it would have worked out the same, I think. But
I don't know.
But and like Jason Parisi's character, I think that was one of those castings where it was like, hey, he's really popular on this TV show right now, so we should try to find him a small role in here that doesn't matter at all. It's like, I would be interested to see dude's pitch meeting about this movie. He'd be like, yeah, also Jason Presley's in it. They're gonna be like, why Jason Presley? Like, because he's in that other thing. It's really popular in 1993. He's gonna be like, okay, popular things are tight. Popular actors are tight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really understand.
Very inconvenient.
What Jason Presley does, and like even in the end, he like his little tissy fit that he throws. I'm just like, it was kind of like, I get it. Your wrist is a bit limp. I'm okay with it, but like I don't understand what the hell your character's even for. But I mean, he was an actual person that existed. I don't know if he did have some kind of a gay thing going on or not. I actually looked up the character a little bit last night and doesn't mention anything about it. Just mentions he wrote a book. And then a lot of people were kind of like, you weren't really as important to the shit that happened in Tombstone as you think you were. So you go ahead and write your book and have some fun with it. But yeah, I mean, also, with the historical accuracy of this movie kind of in question, they did actually get a lot of the names right. It's just that there were some ages and some times that they were in Tombstone that were tinkered with a bit, but that's whatever. But yeah, I mean, the casting of this movie, I mean, look, I'll show you one picture. What else do you see? It's like, what else do you need?
Well, no, nothing, because you got to admit, all four of them wear those fucking mustaches like bosses. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
I could, in a million years, I could never manicure my mustache to be as badass as either Sam Elliott's or.
And I'm like, I could never.
There's more testosterone in those mustaches alone than all of Hollywood right now combined. Okay, those four mustaches right now could take over the whole industry, and nobody could. The Avengers couldn't fight those mustaches. All right, Hulk has no shot. I'm sorry. So,
yeah, I know. Women no shot. Sam Elliott's mustache in that movie, he got pregnant. That's how fucking badass.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's that easy.
The only thing that rivals those mustaches is Chuck Norris's beard. That's their only competition.
I don't want to say it. I'm
like, only thing.
Maybe if you throw all them in a ring against his beard, maybe. But
hey,
maybe.
They'll probably just kill each other because they're just that bad at it. I mean, Chuck Norris does have a third fist under that beard, so I mean, you never know what could happen.
It'd be like matter. It'd be like matter and antimatter meeting. It would just destroy all life and time and space.
Not enough to stop Bruce Lee because he got his ass kicked in that movie, but I digress.
Yeah, but let's talk about a little bit of the. One of the things that has always kind of surrounded this movie is the history versus the Hollywood. I mean, I'll go to you first, Kent. I mean, historically, a lot more accurate than a lot of people give it credit for, but still, it plays with and rearranges a lot of the details in a way that it's kind of hard to ignore. I mean, I don't know how read up you are on history of the Old West, but I mean, does the relative do the liberties, let's say, that they took for a lot of this movie, does it lessen the experience for you, or do you just kind of watch it as like what they said in the like I said in the opening, just loosely based on real events, kind of an Elseworld story version of what happened at the OK Corral.
Yeah, no, that's how I prefer all movies to be, honestly, is I want them to be movies. I don't like historical accuracy has never bothered me in anything. Like, unless it's claiming to be 100% accurate, then I'm, that's a thing that I might get a little upset at, but I just want to see whatever's the most entertaining. And it doesn't bother me that the shootout at the OK Corral, is as awesome as it was, in the movie compared to, 30 seconds of gunshots and then that's it. Reloading guns notwithstanding, but for me, like people were getting mad about Napoleon last year, being like, "Oh, it's not accurate to his life." I was like, I don't care. Like, I want to see cool battles, and again, unless the movie is claiming, "Hey, this is exactly what happened," then I could see getting upset. But no, that's never been a problem for me, and this movie's better for it.
Tex, what do you think? The history versus the Hollywood. I know where you're going to come down on this, but explain your position.
I don't go to the theater to be educated. I go to be entertained. Okay, the whole. I hate that this movie gets picked on because it's not historically accurate. When every other fucking Western, they're not reloading guns that would have been out of ammo 15 minutes ago. So why is this one movie that gets picked on the most? It's because it's the best and it's the most entertaining. Obviously, like was just said, if they had opened this film of what they scrolling text of this is the exact facts and events that happen in their proper order, and then open the film, then it's an issue. This film never claimed to be, never wanted to be, and never was a one-to-one replica of the actual events. This isn't inspired by, this is a Hollywood version of the tale. There's 1,000 different movies that take events and do it like this, bringing up Ridley Scott and the whole Napoleon thing. Ridley Scott's off of his rocker anyways. That's a whole other mess for a whole other podcast. Yeah. That dude, that's fair. He stopped having good ideas after Alien. I'm sorry. Or I guess technically after Gladiator, but whatever. But, as far as this one goes, like I said, if you want to learn what actually happened, go read a book. Go watch a documentary on History Channel. If you're going to the movies, just enjoy yourself. Maybe watch this movie and then go, okay, that was fun. Now let's read a accurate, pictorial of what happened and compare and contrast, and then you get to have a conversation and you get two versions of the experience. So what's your problem here? I don't see what the issue is. To me, that's nonsense. It's a film. Enjoy it or don't watch it. Go to hell. Bullshit.
Yeah, Stuart, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that not only would The Rock and Roman Reigns go down fairly quickly, I'm sure they would both also end up pregnant.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell and Sam Elliott wouldn't even have to get in the ring. They could do a backstage interview and just focus on Sam Elliott's mustache and as he like combs it to the side, and The Rock would fall over with a broken leg. Okay, the match wouldn't even happen.
I think what would happen is the Rock being a respectful guy, someone who game recognizes game. As soon as those two started to come walking in the aisle, The Rock would be like, I concede. Like, I am Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and I am not worthy of those fucking mustaches. Give me another 20 years, maybe I'll get up there. But no, I'm not worthy of those.
If they were all in the Royal Rumble, the Rock would throw himself over the top rope just so Sam Elliott didn't have to, mess up his mustache. So he would bow
politely and then just climb over the top rope.
Right. He would tip of the hat and then he would throw his own ass over the top rope. So it'd be fine.
I don't know. Jay, what do you think? Would you have liked something a little bit more educational, or do you just look at this as kind of an Elseworldly version of actiony version of what happened that day?
Well, I guess like Tex mentioned, Gladiator, also not even remotely accurate because we saw the, We all saw the air tank inside the chariot, but whatever.
So you're not entertained,
I
Jeremy?
was like, don't ruin my fucking joke. God damn it, let me get there. No, you know what? No, you fucking ruined it. You don't even get me saying it now. Never mind. That was my setup.
I knew it was coming.
No.
I knew it was
setting
coming.
the
That's why
dominoes
I had
up, and
that
this
one
dick
held
came
up.
by and just kicked them all over. But that's what I'm saying. Like, but as he said, are you not entertained? I mean, like he said, you go to be entertained by things like this. And I mean, hey, if that's your exposure to it, I mean, and if it interests you, I mean, yeah, you can look into it. Something that's a little more educational, a little more, to the nose of what happened. And I mean, sometimes, like, you may come away a little disappointed, like, oh yeah, well, I could probably tell you why that shit lasted 30 seconds because, okay, now we got to reload all these fucking guns we just emptied. Like, it's not, it's not an easy task, man. You dump all that, like, you're dropping the gun and going to your next one. That's not how that works. It's not something like that when you have people that are actual figures, pretty big figures in history, especially for this time. We were talking about Wyatt Earp with I don't know why am I blanking on his name?
Kevin Costner?
Yeah, I was like, Paul Kent, come back. With Kevin Costner, there's a Western that he did with goddamn it, what's the dude's name? Robert Duvall.
Oh, Open Range.
Open Range. One of the best Westerns in my opinion. I love that movie. It's like
That was a good one.
It's not anybody in particular that's in it. But it's something you can still say is that's probably a little more accurate, but it's still got fun. It's still got one of the coolest gunfights I've ever seen in the movie. Like that whole last, I don't know, 20 some minutes of the movie is just the big gunfight in the town. And I mean, yeah, they do reload. They do have, okay, we're going to set up here. And that's why I thought of it. I'm like, he tells Durval, like, yeah, you empty that shotgun, you drop it, you go to your pistol, and we're going to run to where we had stashed all the other guns. I'm like, you can be a little more realistic with it and still have fun because it's still one hell of a shootout. Like seeing Kevin Costner shoot, I think this is before he was Dumbledore, but he's the bad guy. Michael, shit, yeah, Michael Gambon, not Richard Harris. That's Unforgiven. That's a different Western. That got really meta for a second. Holy shit! Yeah, too many Dumbledores in the old West, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not mad about it. Just I don't know, just have fun with it.
Yeah, I'm one of those weirdos that likes to be entertained with a little bit of educational learning stuff. I love documentaries. They're fun to me of all different things, whether it be some law stuff or some crazy murder that happened sometime long ago or that's still unexplained, that kind of thing, or so whatever happened in Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island. Those things fascinate me. But that said, look, they had enough historical accuracy in this to give me an idea as to what was actually happening around this time in the city of Tombstone. Its growth as a boom town. The Earps going through there, trying to make their fortune after their past of being lawmen in various places around the country. There was enough there to where it still kind of worked. It didn't teach me anything new. I mean, and I watched this in high school, so I mean, I was already learning all the stuff anyway. It didn't teach me anything new. So part of me was just kind of like, I'll go ahead and I'll sacrifice the historical accuracy because I've got, half of Tango and Cash in here. I've got Patrick Swayze's buddy from Roadhouse in here. I've got, the Marine Bill Paxton who, fought the aliens. Like, game over, man. I've got Val Kilmer from Real Genius after he made the laser and got stolen by the mean professor. It's like I have all these things. It's like why would I not just try to enjoy these things that I have?
You got Kyle Reese.
Yeah, I got Kyle Reese. It's just an enjoyable movie. Look, it's historically accurate enough to where it gives you an idea. And like I said, this was kind of billed as a bit of a blockbuster. It had that feel to it. So I didn't really mind too much in the long term that it was more actiony and more style and a little bit less substance. It wasn't like they erased all the substance from it. But I mean, sometimes I like more. But like we said earlier, Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner came out within, I think, 6 months of this movie. and it was considered to be way more historically accurate, way more of a dramatic piece, and it kind of flopped. It didn't really make a lot of money. It's not remembered the way that this movie is remembered. So maybe they were better off doing what they were doing. Well, and there were some things in it, like Fred, the sheriff guy that Powers Boothe kills in the middle of the street that night. It's like
the old man, yeah.
Yeah, in reality, when that guy died, he was 31 years old, not 60 something like Harry Carey. That was actually Harry Carey Jr. that played that role, believe it or not. But yeah, he wasn't like 60 something years old. They played around with who was in Tombstone when, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that for them giving me. Look, the shootout at the OK Corral is ultimately what was the big visual that people wanted to see. I mean, because it's great to have, obviously the Vendetta ride by Wyatt Earp at the end was one thing, but it's like the main set piece is obviously the OK Corral and the events that happened there that afternoon. So they gave me that. They made it look very cinematic, very theatrical, and I liked it in the end. I can draw enough of a history lesson out of this to where I don't feel like I'm dumber having walked out of this movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's not like you saw Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah,
right.
they could
no, that was 100% historically. He didn't just chop down a cherry tree. He also whacked down, Dracula too.
First of all, that was George Washington.
That was George Washington. A couple years early. See what I mean? Well, this is why you need to watch more documentaries about history.
maybe.
Hey, you know what? As high and drunk as I am, I don't give a fuck. So you can all kiss my ass. It's fine.
He has not yet begun to defile himself. Look, I mean, we all saw Cowboys and Aliens. I mean, obviously Daniel Craig and Harrison Ford were fighting aliens in the Old West. It was obviously accurate. I mean, how do we know?
Yep.
How do we know?
Yeah.
I think I saw that movie.
You weren't there, man.
Like a weird. Isn't there like a weird wrist gauntlet thing in that movie or some shit like that?
He's got like some alien tech or some shit on his arm. That
I think I've seen.
Dude,
that was
when it came out. I didn't even know what the hell was. I don't know.
Yeah, that wasn't very good.
I watched that movie once and kind of was like, that was a movie.
That happened. Yeah, that was about it. It happened.
It was a movie that Harrison Ford was in. Good on Harrison Ford. It could have been worse. It could have made 7 Nights in Tibet Part 2. So
I think Daniel Craig was just getting into being Bond at that point, wasn't he? It was pretty close.
Something like that. Yeah, I think that's why they were like, we just need to make a movie and put Daniel Craig in it because he's wildly popular right now. They were like, okay, let's do it. Cowboys, Aliens, great, let's go. We got Harrison Ford. All right, we're gonna make $1 billion.
Oh shit, 2011. Yeah, wasn't he like Daniel? Wasn't he in like the first movie in like fucking 2007 or something?
That would have been just a little bit before Skyfall.
Yeah, because that was 2012. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Stuart got us going in the chat early with some of these quotes. He's like, I got 2 guns.
I considered that one. That's one of my favorite.
That's my number one.
Now skin that smoke wagon and go to work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he said, Stuart said something like that we were talking about right before we went live. I had forgotten how quotable this movie was until I was watching yesterday. I was like, good God. And it wasn't just Val Kilmer and some of his one-liners. It was like everybody here has got this moment where they deliver a line and you're like, damn, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things I've always wondered with this movie is like, okay, did like each of the stars like privately go to the writers and be like, hey, this movie is like loaded to the fucking gills with stars here. Give me like one scene where I stand out and something funny to say. Like, and they like paid him off behind the scenes to make them like give them that one piece of screen time that really stood out, because that's why this movie is better than the Costner Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Earp, yeah, it's more historically accurate. Who gives a shit? This one, I mean, I'm Your Huckleberry became a thing in the 2-8 community because of this movie, with the the outline of Doc Holliday, so people don't get sued for making it at gun shows and whatever. They're just get close enough, but it's just one of those things. So it's all good.
Val Kilmer actually named his autobiography "I'm Your Huckleberry."
Yeah,
like he uses that.
I had a T-shirt.
His life experiences. I'm like, that's how fucking amazing that line is.
Yeah,
yeah. I had a T-shirt of. It was like a hand with the cup like in mid twirl, and underneath it said "Say When" on the below the graphic of it. It was just You know, it was just different kind of stuff. There's all kinds of quotable lines. It's just, you know, I mean, there's not a lot of Tombstone merch. They did make Funko Pops of the main 4 guys, but they've been vaulted a long time ago.
I have the Doc Holliday one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, one thing I always like, put that picture of the 4 of them up back there if you want to, Frank. If they ever want to make a set of Funko Pops with the 4 of them, like that right there, because how Funko does sets or whatever, they should do a Tombstone set with those 4 with that backdrop in it, and I'm buying it immediately. I don't care what it's called. Right. That's what I'm saying. So, you know,
that shot.
That's one of the coolest Funko Pops I've seen on your.
It
is
like
Kilmer's Doc Holliday. I'm like, I do want that one.
Yeah.
I think they do have just about all 4 of them. I think I saw Bill Paxton and
yeah, they have all 4 of them. But I mean, Val Kilmer got Batman because of this. What's his face? The gay dude that directed, I can't remember. Whatever. He saw Val Kilmer in this movie. Yeah. So, see, I hated those movies so much, I deleted his name from my brain. I couldn't remember it. But Schumacher saw Val Kilmer in this movie, and that's just why he got Batman for Batman Forever.
You know, they do make those. It's kind of becoming popular now. Those pops where it's like a group of people or like a band. I'm like, you could do that. You could make. That's
what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Put all 4 of them in the set, and inside the case, you have the backdrop of the OK Corral or whatever. Yeah. And, you know, that fly off the freaking shelves.
I saw an ET set that I wanted to get the other day. It had like ET, just like you know, in his alien skin, and then it had ET dressed as the girl, and it had ET in the ghost outfit for Halloween. I was like, that's totally worth whatever the hell it costs. I don't remember how much it costs.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm okay with it being historically inaccurate because, like I said, for one, there's a lot of historical accuracies that they portray in the movie. They might mess with the timing and stuff a little, and some of the characters a bit, but I mean, all these people did actually exist in Tombstone. Most of them in the same era. One of the things that's interesting about the Old West was watching a video about this a while back, and it was about things we don't understand about certain periods of American history, and that the Old West that we know of, it was portrayed in this movie, was only about 50 years long. That period after the Civil War up to like the Industrial Revolution was only like 50 years. He was like, so all this crazy shit happened in the span of like, they said it was like 30 to 50 years. That's when all this stuff really kind of went down. But they said so much of it happened so fast, and so many of these stories have been written about and popularized so much that it seems like that the Old West lasted for like 150 years, when really it was like a 30 to 50 year span where all this shit went down.
I think once the turn of the century came around, it was just kind of it.
Yeah.
You know, that's just kind of over. That's the cool thing about Red Dead Redemption is it takes place like right around that turn of the century. I'm like, yeah, that way of life is dying out, and they're all like, what do we do? Like, some of us have been in this life for probably just as long. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you're gonna do now. You better figure it out.
And to be fair, it lasted like 50 years, but most of the people who lived within those 50 years, if you got to 30, you were an old man. I mean, there wasn't a lot of old people. You know, I mean, either a sickness got you or a bullet did, or a hanging rope. One of the 3 is how you were going to die. But
you ever see anybody last to die in the West?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This wasn't. I mean, their way of I've got a headache. Oh, well, let's get to bloodletting or drink whiskey. That was their medicine.
That's what I keep saying with like
you had leeches, or you had a hooch. Which one do you want to make you feel better? So it's
like his wife keeps complaining about headaches, and I'm like, I think you're gonna die. Like, that's just it. You're just
right. Yeah. Like, if you cut your finger,
she came in.
You're screwed.
Yeah, I'm like, he comes in and she's just giggling like crazy. I'm like, she smacked off her tits on opium. I'm like, yeah, you ain't gonna feel it now.
Yeah,
you're gonna feel good for a little while, and then you're gonna die. Which I think that's what happened.
Well,
she overdosed or something.
Yeah.
In real life,
which was not uncommon for that time, because they were handing out pure opium, which they called laudanum, which they actually, believe it or not, they still use in some cases. But they were handing out like pure opium, like over the counter at like fucking Right.
You ever seen a methadone clinic? They still hand it out.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing is you just go into a store.
I was
and
like,
you're
man,
hey, Doc, can I get some opium? He's like, yeah, sure, 25 cents.
Right.
Like,
I was like, you
great.
catch a fucking cold in the winter. I'm like, yeah, you ain't gonna live to see spring. You're dead. That just sucks.
These were also the days where the same guy who cut your hair also birthed your child. So it was kind of one of those.
That's why it's not really. It's funny, but it's kind of not when that the dude walks out there. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the sheriff. I'm the mayor. I'm the guy on this seat in the chair in the house." I'm like, "What the fuck? Don't you run here, dude?" Like, I guess who else is really gonna do it? But I mean, he's the fucking president of this whole town. He's got his fingers in every single pie.
That's not unheard of. Hell,
what's his name? Clinton, by the way. Fingers and pies, was he Clinton?
That was cigars, not fingers, cigars. But anyway, that's
cigars.
but yeah, I mean that's how a lot of these towns ran. To be honest, they kind of they were sheriffs and mayors and stuff, but for the most part, it was like what group of assholes is big enough to where they got to run the whole town. And honestly, there were some towns that I've read about like up into the 80s that were kind of run like that. There's smaller towns that were just like you got the mayor and the sheriff for. And they were all kind of in cahoots, and they just kind of did what they wanted to do. And then, like, come mid '80s and into the '90s is when they started to like get a lot of pressure from outside sources. They're like, "Oh, I guess we got to do things on the level now, damn it!" But whatever. But I mean, look, we've talked about several westerns here over the last couple of years. We talked about one of the best western films ever made in the one we talked about last time. Why would I want to fucking blank again? Jesus Christ, Unforgiven, yeah.
Unforgiven.
We talked about that one a while back, and that's considered by many people to be one of the last great westerns. Of course, Clint Eastwood was involved. No. Where does this film rank to you among some of the great modern westerns? Like, say from like the mid to late 70s forward. Where does this movie rank with you amongst those westerns? Jeremy, you go first.
I think. Well, no, that was in the 60s, right? With like the Man with No Name and shit like that.
Yeah, a lot of the spaghetti westerns were in the late 60s up into like the mid 70s.
Because I was like, man, if you start counting those, that's gonna start getting kind of hard to narrow down.
That's why I say modern stuff from like 1980-ish moving forward, because like I said, the western genre it really kind of took a dip for a while in the 80s and 90s. They just weren't coming out a lot of them. There was a couple of great ones that came out, but it was not the staple of cinema like they were for 40 years before that.
Like we talked about that from about the shit, even from like the 40s through probably the 70s. That was your thing. Who hadn't been in a western? In terms of man, this one's definitely got to be up there. Like I mentioned, like, and it may just hold a nostalgic place for me. Like Open Range, that's definitely one of my favorites. I do. When was the original True Grit? Was that also the 60s? John Wayne?
I think so. I forget.
See,
John Wayne died in 77. I think he went a few movies in the 70s.
Never mind. You know what? Honestly, I don't mind the remake with
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, that guy. Not on it today. Yeah, that guy, the dude. Yeah, I could have said the dude. It's
also Sam Elliott, the dude.
I know I'm playing with Sam Elliott here. I'm playing with all these guys. It's hysterical to me to watch. I mean, when Bill Paxton is playing a game of pool and he gets shot in the back, and I just go like, "Game over." I can't not do it. I'm sorry. It's just a reflex. If I had to narrow it down to like, I could probably put it in a top 5 if I'm working with that window of time. Don't ask me what the 5 are, but I could probably put it in there pretty easily.
I want you to think on this real quick, Jeremy. Best Bill Paxton line ever in his career. Was it game over? Or we're going in?
Actually, it's there was another Bill. He's an evil Bill, and I killed him. I don't know. It's a goofy line, but it works. God,
no.
You throw in like True Lies. I'm thinking like he's got a lot of fucking funny lines in that movie too. Like,
oh yeah, True. It was great in True Lies.
Yeah, he was amazing in that. What a spy pee himself.
You can't shit on his comedic timing either. I mean, that guy's pretty much good at every genre of filmmaking.
I mean, like,
really fucking great.
Yeah.
He plays a good dirtbag. If he looked at you and said, "Hey, the vet gets him wet," I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about, man? What?" Okay. You don't just walk out and immediately open up with, "Hey, yeah, it wants you too." You feel it purr? Like, what? Okay, buddy.
I don't know. Kenton, what do you think? I don't know how versed you are in the Western genre, but I mean, from like 1980 on, the modern Western, where does this movie rank amongst the other Westerns for you?
I've definitely seen more of the modern ones compared to like the classics, but as far as like a straightforward, just full-on Western, you got the shootout with the gang members and all that, and it's for straightforward Western, it's probably number one. There's others that I love. Any Western with Kurt Russell is great. Bone Tomahawk is one of my favorite movies of all time. Hateful Eight, I'd say as well. Yep. That might be my favorite Tarantino movie, which is probably crazy to say, but I just absolutely love that one. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I love a lot, just because of how many different aspects of Western you get there. You get the gold mining, you get the shootouts, you get the and that one's like darkly funny too. The True Grit remake's good. But I'm trying to think. I guess, are we counting like a Western that will be set in modern day? Because No Country for Old Men could fit that bill. But
I love that movie. Josh Brolin.
I don't know that I would call that a Western. I definitely understand what you're talking about, the Western themes. I mean, but I don't want to start getting in one of these semantic arguments, because like we talked about Mandalorian being kind of a Western in space, so it's like
no.
Oh, Firefly.
If we're talking,
Firefly.
No. If we're talking Westerns set in the in the heyday of Westerns, then like the 1800s, then it's man. It'd be hard to choose between this and Bone Tomahawk for me, but if we're going straightforward Western, probably this. Bone Tomahawk's got that horror element that I love, but I mean that's not a straight up cowboy movie or anything.
Frank, don't forget before you answer, we also did Young Guns not too long ago, which was 88.
Yeah.
You could still throw that in there.
I don't know. Tex, what do you think is the closest thing we have to a cowboy? You're a Cowboys fan anyway. The closest thing we have to a true cowboy on this right where would you rank this amongst the modern Westerns? Something that's come out kind of in our lifetime, really.
Well, first of all, I do have my cowboy credit. I rode bulls up until the age of 25, so fuck you, motherfucker.
Oh, so, okay,
but either way. As far as from like 80 forward, that would knock, obviously, Outlaw Josie Wales, Good, Bad, the Ugly, all of those would get knocked out. Those were 70s products. So I'd go Tombstone. I would go The Alamo with Billy Bob Thornton and Dennis Quaid that came out 2000 something. I can't remember the exact year, but it is a really fun movie to watch. Now, historically accurate, no. They fudge a lot of time periods and locations, like how far one is from the other, but applying the Tombstone rule to it's an awesome film to watch. And third, I got to go Hateful Eight, because I'm a Tarantino guy. It's not my favorite Tarantino film. That would probably be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I really like Hateful Eight, and Kurt Russell's mustache game is like on steroids in that movie too. Like if we ever need a real life Yosemite Sam, we need to cast Kurt Russell because he can fill the role. So. But
it's the same mustache that's in Bone Tomahawk. He grew it for both movies.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can grow a mustache, but I don't even compare it to that game. I can't even play. I'd probably go top 3 with those. So.
I could never manicure my mustache the way to make it look anything near like what these guys have going.
Oh no, I guarantee you, they've got that kind of facial hair has like its own team of people that take care of it and follow him everywhere he goes in case it gets messed up. We don't have those tools in our chest, you know.
Yeah, I would need calipers and stuff like that to measure it out just right. The dimensions perfect.
Yeah, you just do what just do what Val Kilmer did. As soon as you took her that shit and he sits back down and goes, Barbara, continue. Like, right. Just whatever.
That kind of mustache has its own landscaping crew, basically, is what I'm looking for. It's like they're, getting the field ready for the Super Bowl, basically. But yeah, so one of those things.
Yeah, when you rank it amongst modern Westerns, I mean, I think it's pretty easily top 5. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't put it ahead of Unforgiven, which I think is just one of the best Western movies that's been made in my lifetime. I honestly, I don't know if I would put it above the Magnificent Seven that came out a few years back with Chris Pratt and Denzel. I think that was a little bit of a better Western.
I don't think I saw that.
It's good.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I went into it with not very high expectations because I'm like, it's a remake.
Yeah. Same. I was kind of like, really?
Things, but I watched it. I was like, holy shit, this movie's actually pretty badass. But I don't know that I would put it above that necessarily. But I think it's pretty easily top 5. And Bone Tomahawk, I think it's probably up there.
There's one I forgot to mention.
Go ahead.
The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Oh, with Brad Pitt. That one's good too. I forgot about that. That one's really good. Yeah. That one's kind of long, but it's good. Like, it's got a lot of boring parts in it. You kind of have to work to get through that one, but it's worth watching.
Yeah, it's a slow burn, but yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
310 to Yuma too was mentioned earlier.
That's a good one.
Christian Bale and Russell Crowe.
Zorro is technically a Western. I'm representing my Mexican team. Zorro is technically a Western. I can't even say this.
Okay, no.
Can we classify Machete as a Western because it takes place in Texas? I would say yes.
I mean, I'll do it just because I like the movie and I want to include it in every list of top 5 everything. But I mean, come on, Danny Trejo, come on. There's never get any better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're counting Machete, then we're counting From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, why not?
Just to say, From Dusk Till Dawn, that's straight up Western vibes with Mexican vampires. I like. Hey, why not?
And they're all Christmas movies too. While we're at it, why not? We'll just screw the whole thing up. We'll just screw up the whole plan.
I can watch From Dusk Till Dawn. I even watched the television series that they did on El Rey Network, From Dusk Till Dawn, which was awesome, by the way. You should watch that one too. But it's awesome.
But let's go on some trivia now. And boy, I found some pretty good singers here. The line quoted by, let me get my pictures. I forgot what I was doing. The line quoted by Doc at the end of the fight at the OK Corral is historically true and was reported in the Tombstone papers reporting the fight. When confronted by one of the cowboys at point blank range, the cowboy reportedly said, "I got you now, Doc, you son of a bitch." To which Doc gleefully retorted, "You're a daisy if you do."
If you do.
That was in a historically accurately questionable movie. Like that one thing being accurate, I was like, that makes this movie that much better.
Yeah.
Well, if this movie wasn't as good as it is, people wouldn't chastise it. I mean, if this was just another run-of-the-mill Western, I mean, I guarantee you pull any modern Western film, you could pick it apart as bad as some people do this, and that would be justified. But this movie is awesome. I don't see why people do that. It's not that big a deal.
Let's see. We'll stick with Val Kilmer for a minute. He practiced for a long time on his quick draw speed, and he gave his character a Southern aristocratic accent. The Southern accent is an authentic touch, as Holiday was, in fact, a cousin, although several generations removed, of Margaret Mitchell, who was the author of the book Gone with the Wind.
Well, son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah, his accent was...
wondered how much of that was direction from the filmmaker or was Val Kilmer, because Val Kilmer was, I mean, even early in his career, he was one of those people that's like, I really want to dissect this character and see what makes it great. And try to give it something else.
I can't really place where he picked that. I mean, just saying Southern accent, that's very generic. I mean, the Texas accent to like a French Cajun accent to somebody from Mississippi, that is worlds apart. Like, I don't know. His is kind of like a mishmash of, it's got like the kind of like a South Carolina mixed with like a little bit of kind of like Creole almost. I'm not like, he kind of played with it a little bit.
So he walked right out the plantation house somewhere. That's what I'm saying.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like he's in like the old deep South over there, like, you know, somewhere.
Well,
like a Virginia,
Southern aristocrat.
Well, that Southern aristocrat lifestyle is kind of based in New Orleans. That's where all the rich people from the South kind of all collected early on in the country, and then spread out to places like Georgia and stuff like that. But I mean, that's kind of what New Orleans was a lot of the richer kind of Southerners, and the poorer people went to work at the farms and stuff around, you know, all around the South. But that's where the rich people kind of coalesced within New Orleans. So that's where that aristocratic Southern thing came from.
The kind of Southern accent that he puts on is like how we refer to it down here. It's like he's got molasses spilling out of his mouth every time he talks. It's kind of slow, a little more reserved and drawn back, but it's, you know, that's kind of how it works.
I think there's also something about Doc Holliday, the character in this movie. It's like he's saying things in a specific tone at a specific pace to elicit the response. Yeah. So, like in the beginning of the movie, when he's playing cards against Frank Stallone, he's trying to get his point across in a way. It's like, you don't want to do that, whatever. He's very deliberate in all of his actions over the course of the film. So he's slowing down so that you can absorb everything that he's saying, because there are times where he's taking these not so thinly veiled jabs at people, like when he's playing with Ike Clanton. He goes, "Hey, Ike, let's have a spelling contest." It's like that wasn't nearly as subtle as some of the stuff that he said. He's pretty much calling him an idiot, but yeah, there was a way that he was like, sometimes you could tell he was taking a quick jab where he wanted that dagger to go in really slowly that he was putting into your chest. So there was something about the way that he worked that character I thought was great. But I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but Wyatt Earp was actually in this movie. I don't know if you guys caught that or not. Wyatt Earp III plays Billy Claiborne in this movie. Earp III is a fifth cousin of the famous gunslinger.
Really?
I mean,
okay. How they do? Well, I mean, that's cool.
I mean, why not?
Somebody else in this movie actually had like some kind of a familial connection to Tombstone. Maybe not the events, the OK Corral, but to Tombstone. I forget who it was. But that was pretty interesting. I was like, so there really was some Earp representation on here. Let's see. You know, after his career as a gunslinger was over, Wyatt Earp actually became a consultant to the motion picture industry, advising on westerns after he moved to Hollywood in 1915. He frequently visited the sets of several silent films directed by John Ford and starring actor Harry Carey, whose son, Harry Carey Sr., played the sheriff that was killed by Powers Boothe in the movie. In the movie Tombstone, the role of Marshal Fred White was played by Harry Carey Jr.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of roots with this. Man, that's crazy. I didn't know that. That's cool.
It was actually Val Kilmer. Of course, this is Val Kilmer just being Val Kilmer. It was actually Val Kilmer's idea to whistle on his way to the OK Corral.
At this point, sure. Anything he just does, any little quirk he's got, it just makes the character better.
That kind of makes sense, though, because as stoic and tense as the Earps were walking up to that moment, it's like Val Kilmer's the one that's like, "Hey guys, it's just another fucking Tuesday. I got to go to fight all the fucking time." So he's basically skipping up there like he's going down the yellow brick road to find the wizard or some shit. He's like, whatever, just do a gunfight, blah 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 blah, no big deal. And after this, I'm gonna go back and have me some more rum and play some more poker or whatever.
I mean, he's dying at TV. I don't think he really gives a shit. You know?
Yeah, at that point, he got nothing left to lose. Yeah. He got some fun with it.
Yeah,
but one of the things that was drastically changed for the movie was Johnny Ringo. In reality, Johnny Ringo did not die at the hands of Doc Holliday. On July 14th of 1882, Ringo's body was found lying against the trunk of a large tree in West Turkey Creek Valley near, I'm going to butcher this name, Chiricahua Peak in Arizona Territory. A neighboring property owner heard a single gunshot on the afternoon of July 13th and discovered Ringo's body the following day. His feet were wrapped in strips of cloth torn from his undershirt, probably because his horse had gotten loose from its picket and bolted with his boots tied to the saddle, a method commonly used at the time to keep scorpions out of him. But there was a bullet hole in his right temple and an exit wound in the back of his head. His revolver had one round expended and was found hanging by one finger on his hand. His horse was found 2 miles away with his boots still tied to the saddle. A coroner's inquest stated that the cause of death was unknown, but supposed by gunshot. His body is actually buried near the base of the tree where it was discovered.
Yeah, you think so?
Well,
Jesus.
yeah, I wonder if maybe that metal projectile in his brain piece is maybe what did him in there, coroner.
Maybe.
But just I mean,
Yeah, he got a big hole in his head. I can't imagine what happened. That's the damnedest thing.
we turned his head into a telescope. You can see clear right through it, but I don't know how he died.
How did Kurt Russell put it? I'm gonna turn your head into a canoe.
Something like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
In the casting, what could have been.
Oh boy.
Willem Dafoe was the original choice to play Doc Holliday,
Nah.
but Buena Vista refused to distribute the film if he was cast due to Dafoe's role in the controversial film The Last Temptation of Christ in 1988.
Oof.
Look, we love Willem Dafoe. We talked about Willem Dafoe. It seems like a lot in the last several weeks. But I mean, really, I am so glad that we ended up with the Doc Holliday that we got.
Yeah, I'm a Dafoe fan. There are some roles that will forever be tied to some people, and Doc Holliday is Val Kilmer's. I mean, he's Iceman. Yeah, he was Batman, but he's Doc Holliday. I mean, it's his role. So,
yeah, I honestly think this is my favorite Val Kilmer role. Like, I think this is his best acting.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely not Batman. Iceman is okay, but kind of the whole shirtless volleyball thing still kind of creeps me out. I can't approve that one 100%. But Doc Holiday,
just admit you love the homoerotic volleyball scene in Top Gun. Admit you like it.
No, like I said, this is my Val Kilmer drinking whiskey with a good-looking woman, not embracing his shirtless, greased-up buddies on beach volleyball. That's not okay. But, whatever.
Let's see. Next one up, we got when Virgil actually returns to the saloon and collapses after being shot. Kurt Russell accidentally bangs Sam Elliott's head into the bar as he lifts him to lay him flat on the floor.
Wow.
Keep it rolling. It looks good. It looks real. Keep it going.
Yeah. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Yeah, exactly.
They're about the same height, aren't they? I mean, I know Sam Elliott's like 6 foot, isn't he?
They look like they're on par with one another. They're pretty clear within an inch or two of each other.
I mean, I don't know. You
actually, I think Bill Paxton may be an inch or so bigger than both of them, but I don't know.
Well,
the hats
you fumble a body that's
well.
On
There's
the ground.
just to say, as somebody who owns both cowboy hats and boots, the heels on a boot and the height of a hat can drastically change the measurements of somebody. So it's one of those things.
True. But let's see. You guys remember at the beginning of the movie, the cowboy firing the pistol at the camera is that in the beginning credits is actually in this film. It's actually from the final scene of the 1903 short film, The Great Train Robbery, a film by the Edison Company. That scene actually frightened audience members who believed that they were about to be shot because apparently they didn't know how film works.
So real, man.
The name of that actor to this day is unknown.
Damn.
Nobody knows who that person is.
Can you imagine going back? Like, I've always wondered, like, what would it be like to go back to like the 30s when the first Frankenstein came out, and to see how freaked out people would be. I mean, they had never seen anything like that before, so getting a gun pointed at them. I mean, hell, who freaking knows?
We talked about Nosferatu. I'm like, yeah, you can imagine no one made like that. So that's
right. That's what I'm saying. Just the shot of the silhouette of him going up the stairs is still frightening to this day. Right. Yeah, just the shadow of the creature. I mean, I mean, we can't Well, we can't place ourselves in this time because we're so inundated with imagery of screen. So, it's whatever.
Like what did I say? I think I called the Exorcist adorable or something. But I'm like, yeah, it's cute. It's a cute movie, but because I've seen so much worse since then. But at the time, man, people were like passing out in the theater and shit. They had to leave halfway through. When the pea soup starts flying, I mean, you can't handle it. You might as well just get out of the theater. So,
your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Exactly.
I'll use Dana Delany's picture since I haven't had a reason to pull it up yet. George P. Cosmatos, the director, actually claimed that Stephen Lang was drunk for most of the filming. Stephen Lang plays, of course, Ike Clanton.
He's in character,
Makes
damn
sense.
it. Yeah,
makes sense.
Hey, cast me in a cowboy movie, and I'm gonna be liquored up the whole damn time and just call it method, and I can get away with it.
exactly.
That's actually not the first time I've heard that about an actor. There was another one. I swear to God, it was fairly recently I was hearing about this. That an actor had spent most of the time on set, not like 100% drunk, but like in between takes, he was definitely having a few cocktails here and there, just to kind of keep himself loose.
What was that? Apocalypse Now. Martin Sheen when he was in in his fucking room and he was just smacked, dude. And I'm like, yeah, you can tell.
Well, some actors from like a bygone era, they were always drunk. It's like Brando was a drinker, so it's like he was always drunk on set because he was a drinker. I've heard about a lot of actors from the 40s and 50s that were just heavy drinkers, period. So they were just always drunk.
Colin Farrell drank so much during Miami Vice that he didn't remember making it.
Probably better off. I just that movie was only great.
That's okay. It's for the best.
Yeah, like we're trying to drink that memory away from ourselves too, Colin. So
we're with you.
But let's see. In 1988, actor Kurt Russell named his son Wyatt Russell after Wyatt Earp, the character that he would eventually play in this movie. He should have named him Walmart Wyatt Earp. It's like we call him Walmart Captain America.
Right.
All right.
I like him better now that he's not Captain America anymore. He's going to be U.S. agent, but still, I mean, it was not.
We got there eventually.
If you haven't seen Monarch Legacy of Monsters, it's the TV show within the MonsterVerse of Godzilla, Kong. I think it's Apple TV. Both Kurt and Wyatt Russell play the same character, the young and the older version of it. It came out here recently. If you haven't seen that, I would recommend go checking that out as well because they both do really well with that role. And obviously, they're father and son. I'm sure they train together. Obviously, they know each other, but they do well in that. So
that's one of the things I have to get to. I actually just started watching Three Body Problem on Netflix. It's interesting sci-fi.
Oh yeah,
that into it, yeah, but it's interesting sci-fi.
Yeah, let's see. Monarch Legacy of Monsters. It's worth watching.
Let's see. Michael, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Michael Biehn and Bill Paxton have appeared in 5 films together total. They appeared in this film. They appeared in Lords of Discipline in 1983, The Terminator in 1984, obviously, Aliens in 1986, and Navy SEALs in 1990. This movie, Tombstone, was their 5th and final appearance on screen together.
I was trying to remember what the other, Navy SEALs. Shit, yeah, you're right.
God, tell you what, you talk about a great mindless action flick. God, Navy SEALs might be one of the best ones ever made.
That's what's actually what's actually funny, Frank. The copy of Red Dawn that I have is actually a dual one of those dual DVDs. It's Navy SEALs and Red Dawn together in a pack, and I'm like, I don't even care.
The original '80s Red Dawn and Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
Okay, what you need to do is you need to seal that in plastic and carbonite right now and put it away for future generations to enjoy.
That's the disc I had, or the case that I had. That's what came together, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. This is perfect. I like it.
Yeah. Now
is it one of those two-sided DVDs where one movie on each side, or what?
No, I'm trying to remember. I think it might be 2
or a 2-disc.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's 2 separate ones. Now he's got me messed up. I think it's 2 separate because I think I remember seeing like the image on the Even if it's not, I'm not mad still.
Yeah, that's one hell of a double feature right there. All day long. I can spend 4.5 hours watching those movies back to back.
Yeah, I think it's probably because of Charlie Sheen, but I'm like, whatever. This is still fucking cool. I got a good deal on that
Winning.
one. Winning. Tiger Blood.
Put a little bit of Tiger Blood in those movies.
Hell yeah.
You know, one of the great performances, obviously, we all talk about how much we love Michael Biehn. I don't know if you guys know this or not. In every close-up throughout the film, Michael Biehn does not blink. He was trying to portray the wide-eyed, steely ferocity of Johnny Ringo.
Yeah.
He blinks near the end of the film, possibly indicating that he has lost his nerve in the cinematic final gunfight with Doc Holliday.
Damn.
I've never picked up on that.
I actually read this as I was hitting play on the movie because I was putting the trivia together as I was watching the movie, and I didn't catch until after the first scene where they shoot down the Mexican federales at the church for the wedding. But from that point on, every time he was on screen, I was watching, and he legit does not blink until right before he goes toe to toe with Doc Holliday right at the end.
Well, you said,
and I was like, "Holy shit, that is badass!"
Somebody walked over his grave.
Someone walked over your grave.
God damn it, that's so cool.
It's so many great quotes from him in this movie.
Right?
We just need to have a Val Kilmer appreciation show one of these days. Just like we're gonna get out here, we're gonna talk about Val Kilmer for a couple hours about how great he was in almost every movie. We got another Val Kilmer movie coming up here eventually. So yeah, we'll definitely have to try that. I think that'd be a good thing to do.
Do Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Great in that one.
I was thinking the fact that he was Blunt Man.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Kevin Smith. Thanks for that.
He did. He had to take on Cock Knocker or whatever Mark Hamill played.
Right. You know, one more piece of trivia, and I hadn't gotten to it yet. I was saving this picture. The scene in which Wyatt throws out an abusive car dealer, obviously played by Billy Bob Thornton. We all know that. Out in the saloon was to show that Wyatt was a man who used psychology to intimidate. Thornton's lines in this movie were all ad-libbed. The only direction he was given was to be a bully.
I mean, that's fair.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
that's one of the best exchanges between Kurt Russell and anybody in this movie.
I was gonna say until Kurt brought his fucking mustache and his hands, and it's like, oh, okay, he's not playing around. He stares this dude down and just beats the shit out of him. Like, come on, do it. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of both Billy Bob and Kurt Russell. They're both great actors, but you know, I think Kurt Russell wins that 9 times out of 10. I think that other 1 out of 10 Sling Blade might take him down from like a sneak attack or something. But, you know, I think Kurt Russell's mustache wins in that fight against the Sling Blade.
Whack him over the head with the lawnmower blade and go put some mustard on.
Right. He has to get him with the 1 time out of 10 he gets him with that Kaiser blade, but the other 9, you know, belongs to Kurt Russell. So, you know.
But that's all the trivia I've got for this one. There were some pretty juicy ones. They were just really, really long. I try to keep the trivia relatively short, so I'm not taking 20 minutes to read one piece of trivia. I put the one in there because I thought it was interesting. But that's all the trivia we got. So that's probably a good place to start wrapping things up. Let me get your guys' final thoughts of this movie. I'll start with you first, Kenton. Final thoughts on 1993's Tombstone.
Great movie. Great all-time Western in general. 8 out of 10 is probably what I'd give. Maybe 9, depending on what mood I'm in. Yeah, just overall fantastic. There were 2 more modern Westerns that I just remembered that I wanted to bring up as recommendations. One is Sam Raimi's The Quick and the Dead. Really great stylized, like, tournament shootout movie. And then the original Tropic Thunder, Three Amigos, for a great Western comedy.
That's fair.
But yeah, Tombstone, all-time classic.
You know what?
I'll give you Three Amigos. It doesn't quite take place in the time frame, but it's about. Yeah, I mean,
you got those shootouts.
Bare minimum, I'll give it an honorable mention.
All right.
If they had Chevy Chase in this movie, it would have put it just right over the top, buddy. Like, that would have been good.
Hey, we could have thrown in Blazing Saddles, maybe.
Oh, Blazing Saddles. Oh,
Blazing Saddles. It's technically a Western comedy.
Yeah,
it's set in the old West times.
That is one of the greatest movies ever made. That movie makes fun of everybody. That is great. I love that.
There's
about 1,000 videos online of black people reacting to that movie, and all of them love it. They're all just like, "This is
right." Yeah, it's just
awesome.
It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah, Stuart keeps hitting us with the gyms. You gonna do something?
Yeah,
stand there and bleed.
Stand there and bleed.
You know, I swear to God, I was watching it yesterday. I was like, "That's a very like Clint Eastwood kind of line."
Yeah,
yeah.
If you just said that line was from a Western, the first person I would have gone to was Clint Eastwood. If I had not seen this movie, I'd have been like, "That sounds like something Clint Eastwood would say."
Good, make
great
my
line,
day.
Yeah, it's a great line though.
Somebody with the computer potential needs to go in and take Clint Eastwood from Outlaw Josie Wales and insert him into Tombstone, just doing his thing. That would make it like the greatest Western movie of all time. Like that would just put it right over the top.
And while you're doing it, have the three amigos ride into town, fresh off of beating a lot.
Yeah, and then John Wayne comes walking out of the OK Crew. Howdy, Pilgrim, just doing nothing, just standing there. You know, it'd be great. Why not?
You son of a bitch.
Jeremy, what about you? Give me your final thoughts on Tombstone.
Yeah, it's again, you can't go wrong with adding talent, and I mean, I don't want to say any one particular named Val Kilmer kind of just steals this movie because they all carry this movie throughout the whole runtime, but it's definitely worth a watch. I still don't agree with the cult movie status. That's weird. It's a good movie, through and through. So, and again, if you're worried about historical accuracy, I don't care. Go watch something that is historically accurate. I mean, just have fun with it, man. Like, just have fun with the romanticized, just gunslinging everybody and playing cards, and it's a fun ride. I don't see how you would hate it.
And to our resident cowboy, my man Tex, give me your final thoughts on Tombstone.
Yeah, probably my favorite Western overall. Well, maybe not overall, but definitely modern. Perfect cast, one of the best cast put together I've ever seen. Entertaining as hell, memorable as hell, quotable as hell. I mean, I rarely give a movie a 10, but this one's damn near close. It's up there, and like I said, for my top 10 non-horror list, it's definitely in the top 5 of it. But it's one of the movies of my childhood. I will always love this movie, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that one of the most important things to get right for a movie is casting. We've talked about Keaton in Batman '89. We talked about Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. A lot of people question those castings. We talked just a couple of days ago with American Werewolf New Jersey, how we were all kind of shitting on Ben Affleck being cast as Batman, and then we saw it. We were like, damn, we were all wrong. Definitely not the same fervor when they probably announced the cast of this movie. But I mean, it's like you're rolling out there with Sam Elliott and Kurt Russell, who at this point in their careers are already pretty fucking legendary. Sam Elliott especially. Bill Paxton, who was hitting the zenith of his career at this point. Val Kilmer, who had already been I think he'd already done Willow at this point, which had gotten a lot of critical acclaim. Real Genius, where we talk about here in a few weeks. He had already done a lot of stuff that was really good. And Stuart mentioned Island of Dr. Moreau. Yes, that was also a very good movie as well. But I think that came after this. But it's like he was up and coming. And then you have Billy Zane, who had already been pretty big. You had The Name with Jason Priestley, who was big in the Beverly Hills 90210 show at the time. Just loaded with great cast. And then this was kind of like, I don't want to make it too big of a comparison, but it's like this was kind of like an Avengers movie, because one of the things they have to do with the Avengers movies is you have to give each one of these characters a couple of scenes to shine, to balance out the movie, to make sure that the fans are getting what they want. And it's like all these guys, it's like, yeah, Val Kilmer he does kind of steal this movie a lot. He chews up a lot of scenery. But it's not like Kurt Russell isn't vintage Kurt Russell in this. It isn't like Sam Elliott isn't just prime time Sam Elliott. It's not like Bill Paxton doesn't play this amazing character. It's not like Ike Clanton, that character. It's not like that doesn't play a significant part, and Lane is very good in the part. It's not like everybody here, even the bit players, had a chance to really carry a scene or two and to contribute something great to this story and to this film. And I was like, damn, it was perfectly cast. It was perfectly put together for the film they wanted to create. I can't really knock a lot about this movie other than the fact that, Billy Zane and Jason Priestley kind of weren't really needed. I don't know why they were there, but it's just a subplot surrounded by all this other great shit that's happening. And also, one of the things I realized about this movie is it's kind of like Full Metal Jacket. It's kind of two movies in one. Because Full Metal Jacket is a movie, it's two movies. It's the first half in boot camp, and the second half is when they're in country in Vietnam. So you're getting kind of two separate movies wrapped up in this one gigantic film. The shootout at the OK Corral happens at the midpoint of this movie. So you see all the build up to the shootout at the OK Corral, and then you have a whole other story about the Vendetta riot that starts from that point on.
Yeah.
It gives you a whole extension of the movie from that point. So it's kind of like that, the fact that you're getting two very distinct storylines that are all kind of centered around this one incident at the OK Corral. Very well put together for what it needed to be. Like I said, I usually get really annoyed when historical accuracy is kind of thrown to the side for style, but this is one of the rare times where I'm kind of glad. I'm not too upset about it because I got a pretty kick-ass film. And like Jeremy said, I do kind of just look at this as an Elseworldly kind of version of actual events and just be like, it's loosely based on this thing, and they just kind of built this other story around it that it has a lot of the same people, a lot of the same incidences. It's just kind of painted it with a different brush and different canvas. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie all around. One of the better westerns, one of the better action movies that came out in the 80s and 90s. A ton of action movies came out in those 2 decades, and this was one of the better action movies that came out. And this was also a good western in a time where westerns were just dead. From the mid 80s all the way up into the 2000s, the Western genre had just died. And I think we've talked about it before. It's the Western genre before the comic book genre in modern days, the Western genre was the centerpiece of all filmmaking. It's that's what got people to the theaters. And when we got to the late 70s into the 80s, the actiony stuff kind of took over. And the Westerns got kind of pushed off to the side, and they hit this kind of dead spot for about 20 years. And in the last probably 15 years, people have taken some chances on putting some more Westerns out there. A couple have been great. Clint Eastwood, whenever he makes a Western, it's going to be pretty damn good. I mean, the guy came up on Westerns in the 50s and 60s, but in the prime of that genre. But but for the most part, it was kind of a dead genre until a movie like this came out and kind of gave it a new life. And then from that point on, you saw a couple of Westerns come out that did pretty well. And now we're getting stuff like 310 to Yuma and stuff like that, which are pretty good. But it's a great movie. It's again the 80s and 90s where you're just talking about the pure action stuff that came out over the course of that 20 years. This is one of the better movies that came out of all that. And like I said, the cast. I mean, good God, it's when you get a bunch of guys that are that good out there, they don't even try, and they're just better than everything else you could have gone to see that day. I wish I would have taken the time to look up exactly what came out around the same time as this, because this came out Christmas of 1993. I don't know.
Jurassic Park, probably.
I want to go look real quick. I'm going to go to Box Office Mojo and look real quick because I'm curious.
If you put the Earp crew in the Jurassic Park, that T-Rex wouldn't have had a shot. Doc Holliday would have took it down lickety split, boy. Wouldn't have had no shot.
That Velociraptor would have come out from the bushes. He'd have been like, Daisy, if you do. Fight, son.
You need to take that picture of him hold the 2 guns, but just put the 2 flares in his hand, say when. Rexy. Say when, Rexy. Come on.
Let me give you a minute to look this up. Bring up Box Office Mojo. I don't know if I can go back that far in Box Office Mojo. I'm pretty sure I can. I've gone back to the 90s several times on this.
You can look.
Let me see. Weekly. We're going to go by year. All the way back. Oh, I can go back in the 70s on this. Oh, that's nice. 1993. And let's see. It came out the 25th. We'll go December 24th to December 30th. Well, I see Miss Doubtfire already. It opened up against Miss Doubtfire, which was #1 that week. The Pelican Brief, another great movie. Sister Act, Beethoven's Second, Grumpy Old Men, Wayne's World, Geronimo, The Piano, Three Musketeers, Schindler's List. Schindler's List had been out for a few weeks, though.
Shit.
Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, Addams Family Values, Cool Runnings, Jurassic Park had been out for a while at that point. Let's see, Philadelphia. What's Eating Gilbert Grape was out about then. Let's see. So, looking at some of these bigger movies, Jurassic Park had been out for 29 weeks at that point. So Jurassic Park had pretty much had its whole run. Cool Runnings had been out for 13 weeks. The Three Musketeers and The Piano had been out for 7 weeks. Miss Doubtfire had been out for 6 weeks. It actually didn't beat Miss Doubtfire. Miss Doubtfire actually beat it. Let's see. Wayne's World 2 had been out for 3 weeks.
Man.
Look at some of these bigger ones. Let's see. What's Eating Gilbert Grape had been out for 2 weeks already. I mean, that wasn't a huge movie anyway. So yeah, I mean, it had its it had its time. Let me go back to one more week. See what it was. Actually, let me go forward.
Yeah, because it would have been out. Yeah,
because it opened on the 25th, and this is from the 24th to the 30th. So let's see. On December 31st to January 6th, you had pretty much, ironically enough, Ghost in the Machine. Schindler's List was still there. Let's see. Tombstone was third in the second week. And remember, this was at a time where you were not getting Marvel movies that were making $150, $200 million in an open.
Right.
This was before the money became that ridiculous. But the Schindler's List at that point had been out for 4 weeks when it was in its second week, and that had made a bunch of money. But yeah, so yeah, it didn't open up against a lot of heavy hitters, but I mean, it had some competition. So the fact that it did well, it speaks to it, I think. But thanks to my amazing co-host for being so wonderful, as always. Starting with my hetero life mate, Jeremy. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
I'm always here. Well, mostly always here. Tuesdays, Thursdays, the same bat time, same bat channel. We have a Batman in this movie, so I can say that.
We do have a Batman.
A Batman with guns. So
we kill people. I'll point that out.
Okay, fine. Yes, Batman kills people. Whatever. We just not like the year before. We didn't just see him, throw some guy into a fucking thing with a grenade with a smile on his face. Might I add? So thanks for that, Michael Keaton. Yeah, my name's it's not Doc Tuesday, but it's Grim Tuesday 23. Again, you see it in the chat over there. Again, you can figure it out if you're technologically inclined and not stuck in the year of 1993 where there was no internet. So
the world was better in 1993. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was shitting my pants and not really caring. So yeah, I know. It was a better time when I could just do that. I know. Well, it was all downhill from there, man.
And then, of course, we had Freakajibus, our man Kitten. What's going on, buddy? Where can the folks at home find you, sir?
Freakajibus everywhere. Twitter, Letterboxd. That's where I post all my movie ratings as I watch them, and sometimes a review. Put up a pretty lengthy Die Hard 2 review recently. Did not have a good time with that rewatch. And then jumping on here from time to time. So there you go. Freakajibus.
I'll have to get the link to all your stuff so I can put it in the description. You'll have to make sure you get that to me at some point. But and to our own cowboy, the one of us who has actually ridden a bull at some point, and I've ridden a horse before. I mean, like a couple times. It wasn't like I rode him a lot.
He keeps bragging, but I always throw that line there. I'm like, yeah, well, you still lost the war, so whatever.
Look at it this way: in the Civil War movie, California and Texas are actually going to be on the same side for once.
So, I can't wait to talk about that. Oh my god!
We'll always have the Civil War, Tex, if nothing else.
I can look at it and be like, all right, but what kind of American are you? I'll put my best
in the coming Civil War. In the coming, Civil War in real life, we're going to get Texas will take over California, kick them back to Mexico, and that'll be Texas West. But things will be different when we're
Just push them all down into Baja. It's just right there. Just
Right. So that's what we're going to do. We'll shove them, or they can go in the ocean or Mexico. We'll leave it up to them. I don't care either way. But no, that being said, I'm here when I'm not working. I finally got to see a film that I told y'all about months ago. Y'all may have forgotten, but Satanic Hispanics. It's a Shudder film that they released like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. It's kind of a anthology film with a few different Mexican directors, and it's kind of like Tales of Halloween or Trick or Treat. It's a pretty fun watch. I won't spoil anything, but it's on Shudder right now. If you want to go check it out, I would recommend seeing it. It's a fun one. So go find it.
I need to get a subscription to Shudder. I don't know why I keep putting it off.
I don't know why I don't have
It's like $6 a month, dude. It costs nothing. It's the greatest streaming service ever. So I love it.
I'm surprised I don't have it.
Yeah, I love Shudder. Great.
Yeah.
But,
Had it for a bit.
And it has
Joe
My
Bob
Hero. That what does my koozie say? Right there.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie reviewer of great.
Yes, sir.
The movie reviewer of Grapevine, Texas. The illustrious Joe Bob Briggs from the last drive-in Monster Vision in the 90s on TNT. Joe Bob Briggs is the reason I want to talk about movies now. He's awesome. He's one of my heroes.
And the star of Casino.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
I do want to send a shout out real quick to Brooding Gamer, who's going to be doing all the thumbnails for us going forward. It just takes a little more off. It takes a little bit more off my plate. So he knows he knows the production schedule coming up. So he is responsible for tonight's thumbnail. Go follow him on all the socials. He's linked in the description below. Go check out his YouTube channel as well. As for me, you will find me here Tuesday, and we'll be breaking down Kong versus Kong X Godzilla, the New Empire. We're about a week late, but I really want to get Tombstone out of the way, and I really want to get this DCE retrospective in because I know that American Werewolf New Jersey was chomping the bit to defend that franchise. But we will be back here on Tuesday breaking down Godzilla, Kong, the New Empire. A fun movie. I didn't put up a short review of it because I just forgot I didn't get around to it. But I'm not going to lie to you. Just like my base review is that the monster fights alone are worth the price of admission for this movie. It's so epic. And the first couple are a little short for my liking, but man, the whole third act. It was just basically Rio de Janeiro does not exist anymore in this universe because it was basically the playground for all these guys, all these monsters. But yeah, we'll be talking about that on Tuesday. So come check us out then. Thanks to my amazing co-host for being so wonderful. As always, thanks to all of you for coming and hanging out with us. We very much appreciate it. But we'll see you guys on Tuesday. So that's right. Why, Jeremy, you're not wearing a muscle. Hallelujah.
I was wondering how long you were going to leave that there. Just let me sit there like that and not say a word.
I wanted to hypersexualize you. I was inspired by the homoerotic volleyball scene.
Sorry, was my nose not big enough? Is that what the problem was?
Maybe, I don't know. I could have put Tex, but I'm pretty sure Tex wears a bustle. So,
well, to each his own.